Dr. Kim So-young rushed through the corridors of Seoul's Pride, carrying her medical equipment. The ship's doctor had been sleeping when the alarms woke her, but now she was wide awake, preparing for something no human doctor had ever done before. She was about to treat alien plague victims. "Captain, we are approaching the Velkari vessel," Han Yu-jin called out from his navigation station. The young man's voice was shaking as he stared at his screens. "Put it on the main display," Dong-woo ordered. Bridge crew gasped when they saw the alien ship. The Velkari vessel looked like it was held together with hope and prayers. Its hull was covered in burn marks and holes from space debris. Parts of it were missing entirely, and the few lights that still worked flickered weakly. The ship was 3 times older than any human vessel and looked ready to fall apart. "My God," Ji-hai whispered. "How are they still alive in that thing?" The communication panel started beeping. "Captain, I am getting a signal from the Velkari ship. They want to talk. Put them through," Dong-woo said, straightening his uniform. He had never spoken to a Velkari before and wasn't sure what to expect. The main screen flickered and showed the inside of the alien ship. The sight made everyone step backward. The Velkari captain was unlike any being they had ever seen. He was tall and covered in green scales that looked dull and sick. His eyes were large and yellow and filled with pain. When he spoke, his voice sounded like, "Gravel, I am Thelva's captain of the Keth Moran. You are human. Yes, I have heard stories about your species, but I never thought I would see one. I am Captain Lee Dong-woo of Seoul's Pride. We received your distress signal and came to help." Thelva stared at the screen for a long moment. "Help? You came to help us. No one has helped the Velkari for 10 cycles. We have been alone in space, waiting to die. We brought our Dr. Dong-woo," said, gesturing to Dr. Kim So-young. "She wants to try to treat your sick." Alien captain's scales seemed to brighten slightly. "Your doctor would risk the death sickness for us. Why would you do this? Because it's the right thing to do." Dong-woo replied simply. Dr. Kim stepped forward on the human ship. "Captain Thelvas, I need to know about your sick. How many are there? What are their symptoms?" Thelvas looked away from the screen. 37. Velkari remain alive on my ship. 12 are younglings who have never seen our homeworld. 20 adults and 5 elders. The sickness makes us weak, steals our strength, makes our scales turn gray. Some cannot eat. Some cannot breathe properly. We lose 1 or 2 every few weeks." So-young nodded as she took notes. "I want to help, but I need to examine some of your people. Can you bring a few to our ship? That is very dangerous for you," Thelvas warned. "The death sickness passes from Velkari to other species easily. I understand the risk, Young said firmly. "But I cannot help without examining patients. Will you trust me?" The alien captain closed his large eyes. "I will trust you, human doctor. My people have nothing left to lose." 2 hours later, the first group of Velkari came aboard Seoul's Pride. The humans had set up a quarantine area in their cargo bay with air filters and protective barriers. Dr. Kim wore a full environmental suit as she watched the aliens enter their ship. The Velkari moved slowly and carefully, like they were in great pain. Their scales were indeed gray and dull instead of the bright green they should have been. The youngest alien was barely as tall as a human child, but was clearly very sick engineer. Choi Min-ho watched from behind a protective barrier. "I have never seen aliens this close before," he whispered. "They look so different, but also so similar to us, the way they care for their young navigator," Yu-jin added softly. "Look how the adults stay close to protect the children, doctor." Kim began her examinations, working carefully to understand Velkari biology. She took samples of their blood and studied their breathing patterns. The aliens were patient and cooperative, even though they were clearly afraid. One of the young Velkari kept staring at the humans through the barrier. It made soft chirping sounds that seemed like questions. "That is Cathara," Thelvaz explained through the communication system. "She is my daughter. She has never seen beings like you before. She wants to know if you have younglings too. Tell her yes." "So," Young said, smiling behind her mask, "tell her that human children are just as precious to us as Velkari children are to you." When Thelvas translated this, the young alien's eyes grew bright. She chirped something that sounded happy. "She says human doctors must be very brave to help sick aliens." Thelvas reported she wants to know if she can be a doctor too when she grows up. So Young felt tears in her eyes. "Tell her that would make me very proud." As the hours passed, Dr. Kim learned more about the Velkari plague. It attacked their immune systems, making them weak and unable to fight other infections. But she also noticed something interesting. The disease seemed to follow patterns similar to some Earth viruses she had studied. "Captain Dongwu, I think I might be able to help them." So Young reported over the ship's communication system. "The plague is terrible, but it's not as mysterious as everyone thought. It's like a very aggressive form of infection that their bodies cannot fight. Can you cure it?" Dongwu asked. Maybe she replied, "I need time to study their biology more, but I think human medicine might work on them. Our immune systems evolved to fight many different diseases. Maybe we developed treatments that could help aliens too." While Dr. Kim worked, the rest of the crew got to know their Velkari guests. Communication. Officer Ji-Hai found ways to talk with the aliens using simple words and gestures. The Velkari were curious about human culture and technology. They had been alone for so long that they had almost forgotten what it was like to have friends. The adult. Velkari helped repair some of the human ship's minor problems. Their long fingers were perfect for reaching into small spaces. Engineer. Minho was amazed at how quickly they learned to use human tools. "You are not what we expected," Thelvas told Captain Dongwu during one of their conversations. "We heard that humans were violent and selfish, but you risk everything to help strangers. Every species has good and bad individuals." Dongwu replied, "We try to be good." As the day ended, Dr. Kim made a discovery that changed everything. She found that a modified version of human antibiotics seemed to help the Velkari fight their plague. The aliens who received the treatment started to look better within hours, Captain. "I think we can save them," So Young announced, excitedly. "But we need time to make enough medicine for all of them." "How much time?" Dongwu asked. "At least a week, maybe 2, she replied. Dongwu knew this was dangerous. Every day they stayed with the Velkari increased the chance that Galactic Council forces would find them. But looking at the hope in the aliens' eyes, he knew they had to try. "We stay until everyone is healed," he decided. "No one gets left behind." Thelvas bowed his head in gratitude. "You have given my people something we thought was lost forever: hope." The Velkari will never forget this kindness. As both ships prepared for the long treatment process, none of them knew that their actions were being watched. Across the galaxy, other species were learning that humans had broken quarantine to help the plague victims. Soon they would all become hunted criminals, but for now they had hope, and that was enough. The alarms on Seoul's Pride screamed through the corridors as Navigator Han Yu-jin spotted the first military ships on his sensors. "Captain, we have incoming vessels, 3 Corvin battle cruisers and 2 Zephyrian enforcement ships. They will be in weapons range in 4 hours. Captain Dongwu felt his stomach drop. The military task force was larger than he had expected and far more dangerous. The Corvin Empire was known for destroying first and asking questions later, while the Zephyrians would capture them for trial, which meant prison or execution. "All hands to battle stations," he announced over the ship communication system. This is not a drill. Dr. Kim So-young was in the middle of treating the last sick Velkari when the alarm started. She looked at her alien patients with worry. Captain, I need at least 6 more hours to finish the treatments. You might not have 6 minutes, communications officer. Ji-hai called out the lead. Corvin ship is broadcasting a message. They are ordering us to surrender immediately or be destroyed. Put them through, Dongwu ordered. The main screen filled with the angry face of a Corvin military commander. The alien looked like a cross between a wolf and a lizard with gray fur and sharp teeth. When he spoke, his voice was full of rage. Human vessel, you have violated galactic quarantine laws and endangered all civilized species. You will surrender now and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your immediate destruction. Dongwu stood straight and faced the screen. We are providing medical aid to beings in distress. We have broken no laws of decency or compassion, the Corvin commander snarled. You have made contact with plague carriers. You are contaminated and must be cleansed. For the safety of the galaxy. What about the safety of the Velkari? Dongwu shot back. They are living beings with families and children. Do their lives mean nothing to you? The Corvin's eyes grew cold. Plague carriers are not people. They are walking, diseases that threaten everyone. Helping them makes you a disease too. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in angry silence. Engineer Choi Min-ho spoke first. Captain, the Velkari ship cannot run. Their engines are too damaged and they are still. Too weak to fight, then we run without them, Dongwu said quietly. Even if it means leaving them behind. Captain Thelvas appeared on their communication screen. He had been listening to everything. Human Captain, you have given my people life again. We will not let you die for us. Take your ship and go. We will face the military ships alone. Absolutely not, Dongwu replied firmly. We started this together and we finish it together, but you have families to return to, Thelvas protested. Your species has already sacrificed too much for mine. The Velkari captain was right. Dongwu did have a wife and young daughter back on Earth, but he also knew that running away now would make everything they had done meaningless. The galaxy needed to see that. Some beings still cared about doing the right thing. Yujin called out from his navigation station. Captain, I found a possible escape route. There is a nebula cluster about 2 hours away at maximum speed. The gas clouds will interfere with their sensors. Can the Velkari ship make it? Dongwu asked. Min-ho checked his engineering reports. Their engines are working at about 60% efficiency. It will be close, but I think they can do it. Both ships changed course toward the nebula as the military task force closed in. The Corvin and Zephyrian vessels were faster and better armed, but the nebula offered hope of hiding until they could figure out their next move. Dr. Kim worked frantically to finish treating the last Velkari patients. She had several aliens helping her now, including young Cathara, who had learned to prepare medicines. The alien child worked with steady hands despite the danger around them. Are you scared, Cathara? So-young asked the young Velkari as they worked. Together. Yes, Cathara replied in her chirping voice. But my father taught me that brave people do what is right even when they are scared. You humans are the bravest people I have ever seen. The compliment from the alien child gave So-young strength to keep working. Even if they died today, they had shown the galaxy that species could work together and care for each other on the bridge. Ji-hai was monitoring all communication channels. Captain, the military ships are calling for reinforcements. They have requested permission to use planet-killer weapons against us. Planet-killer weapons, Yujin gasped. Those can destroy entire moons. They really want us dead. The hunt was becoming more serious with each passing hour. What had started as a rescue mission was turning into a war between those who believed in helping others and those who believed in protecting themselves by destroying threats. Thelvas and his crew worked with engineer Min-ho to squeeze every bit of speed from their damaged engines. The Velkari had become experts at keeping broken ships running during their years of exile. Now that skill was keeping both crews alive. We are 20 minutes from the nebula, Jin reported. But the military ships will be in weapons range. In 15 minutes, the race was going to be very close. The military vessels were gaining ground, and their weapons could reach Sol's Pride and the Velkari ship before they reached safety. Suddenly, the Velkari ship began to fall behind. Black smoke was coming from their engines, and they were losing speed quickly. "Captain, our engines are failing," Thelvas reported. "We cannot maintain this speed much longer." Dongwu made a decision that would define the rest of his life. Jin prepared a drop, out of faster-than-light travel. "We are going to shield the Velkari ship with our own captain. That is suicide," Minho protested. "Our ship cannot take fire from 5 military vessels." "Maybe not," Dongwu replied. "But we can buy them time to reach the nebula." The crew of Sol's Pride prepared for what might be their final battle. They had never expected that saving lives would make them criminals, but they had no regrets. Each of them knew they had done something important, even if the galaxy was too afraid to understand as the military ships closed in and weapons began charging. Dr. Kim finished treating the last Velkari patient. All 37 aliens were now healthy and immune to the plague that had nearly destroyed their species. "Captain Dongwu, all patients are cured." "So," Young announced, "we did it. We saved them all. Now they just had to survive long enough to tell the galaxy what they had accomplished." The military ships were almost in range, and the nebula was still 10 minutes away. The hunt had begun in earnest, and the fate of both crews hung in the balance. Captain Lee Dongwu was drinking his morning coffee when the alarms started screaming through the ship. The red lights flashed across the bridge of Sol's Pride, making everyone jump from their seats. Dongwu put down his cup and rushed to the command chair where his crew was already working at their stations. Park Ji-hai looked up from her communication panel with worry in her eyes. "Captain, we are getting a distress signal, but it is very weak and broken. I can barely make out the words show." "Me, what you have," Dongwu said as he settled into his chair. The main screen flickered to life, showing waves of static and garbled sounds that hurt their ears. Through the noise, they could hear something that sounded like crying or pleading, but in a language none of them recognized. "The signal is coming from the asteroid belt near Kepler Station." Ji-hai reported she was the best communications officer in the human fleet and could usually decode any message, but this one was giving her trouble. "The frequency keeps changing, and the translation computers cannot figure out what language this is." Dongwu frowned and leaned forward in his chair. "How far away is the source?" "About 6 hours at full speed." Navigator Han Yu-jin called out from his station. "But Captain, that area is marked as dangerous. The Galactic Council has warnings posted all over that sector." "What kind of warnings?" Dongwu asked, even though he had a feeling he already knew the answer. "Quarantine warnings," Yu-jin replied quietly. "Disease outbreak. Contaminated vessels. No contact authorized." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew about the quarantine zones scattered across the galaxy. Places where sick alien ships drifted alone, waiting to die because no one would help them. It was safer to let them die than risk spreading unknown diseases to other worlds. Ji-hai worked harder on the signal, running it through every translation program they had. Finally, after an hour of trying, she managed to clean up part of the message. "Captain, I think I got something." The main screen showed text scrolling across in broken Universal Standard. "Please help us. We are dying. Children are sick, need medicine. Please someone help us. We have been alone for so long." "Who sent this?" Dongwu asked. "The ship signature says it belongs to the Velkari," Ji-hai whispered. The name made everyone on the bridge step back. The Velkari were the reptile people who had been quarantined for over 10 years. A terrible plague had swept through their homeworld, killing millions. The survivors had been forced to leave, and now they wandered space in old broken ships. No one helps the Velkari engineer. Choi Min-ho said from his station near the back. They carry the death sickness. Any ship that gets close to them gets infected too. The Galactic Council made it illegal to contact them. Dong-woo stared at the message on the screen. The words seemed to burn into his mind. Children are sick. The captain was only 35 years old, but he had seen enough death in space to know what those words meant. Somewhere out there, alien children were dying while their parents watched helplessly. Captain, what are your orders? Yujin asked. The young navigator looked nervous. He had only been on Dong-woo's crew for 6 months and had never faced a situation like this. Dong-woo closed his eyes and thought about his own childhood on Earth. He remembered being sick with fever and how his mother had stayed awake all night taking care of him. He thought about human children and how every parent would do anything to save them. Were alien parents any different? Set course for the source of the signal, he said quietly. Sir Choi, Min-ho stood up from his station. Are you sure that is a Valkyrie ship they have? The plague. We could all die. I heard you engineer, but I also heard that message. Those are people calling for help. How can we just fly away? But Captain, the regulations, Yujin started to say. Forget the regulations, Dong-woo said standing up from his chair. When did following rules become more important than saving lives? The crew looked at each other with fear and confusion. No human ship had contacted a Valkyrie vessel in over 8 years. The few that had tried were never seen again. Some said, oh, they died from the plague. Others said the Galactic Council destroyed them to prevent the disease from spreading. Jai-hai turned back to her station. Captain, I am getting more of the signal now. Listen to this. The speakers filled with the sound of an alien voice speaking in broken universal standard. My name is Thelvas. I am captain of the vessel, Keth Moran. We have 37 Valkyrie still alive. Many are younglings who have never seen our home world. We have no food, no medicine. We are dying. Please, if anyone can hear this, please help us. We will give you anything we have. Please do not let the children die alone. The bridge became silent again. Everyone could hear the pain in the alien captain's voice. Even through the bad translation, they could understand his desperation. This was not a trick or a trap. This was a father begging someone to save his children. Dong-woo walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. He knew that changing course to help the Valkyrie would make them criminals in the eyes of the Galactic Council. They would be banned from every port and hunted by military ships. But he also knew that he would never be able to sleep again if he let those children die. All hands prepare for course. Change, he announced over the ship's communication system. We are responding to a distress call. Captain, please think about this. Ji-hai said. You have a wife and daughter back on Earth. What will happen to them if we never make it home? Dong-woo smiled, sadly, at his communication officer. What kind of galaxy are we leaving for our children if we teach them that some lives do not matter? He turned to face his crew. All of you have families. All of you have people who love you. I will not order you to come with me. Anyone who wants to leave can take a shuttle to Kepler Station. I will not think less of you for choosing safety. The crew members looked at each other for a long moment. Then Choi Min-ho stepped forward. Captain, my engines are ready. For whatever you need, Yujin nodded from his station. Navigation is set for the Valkyrie ship. Ji-hai smiled and turned back to her panel. I will try to establish communication with Captain Thelvas. Dong-woo felt proud of his crew. They were scared. But they were choosing to do what was right, even when it was dangerous. This was what made humans different from other species in the galaxy. When everyone else ran away, humans ran toward those who needed help. Engage engines. He ordered, take us to the Valkyrie ship. Seoul's Pride changed course toward the asteroid belt. Dong-woo knew their lives would never be the same. They were about to become the first humans in years to make contact with the plague ships. But somewhere in the darkness ahead, alien children were counting on them to be brave. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying them toward their destiny. The galaxy was about to learn that humans do not abandon those who need help, even when helping means risking everything. Dr. Kim So-young had not slept in 36 hours. Her eyes were red and tired, but she kept working in the medical lab. The breakthrough she had discovered was bigger than anyone imagined. Human antibiotics were not just helping the Velkhari. They were actually curing the plague that had killed millions. So-young called Captain Dong-woo to the medical bay. Urgently, "Captain, you need to see this." Dong-woo arrived to find the doctor standing over several test samples. The Velkhari blood samples from yesterday were on one side and today's samples were on the other. Even someone with no medical training could see the difference. "Look at this, Young said, pointing to the microscope. "Yesterday the Velkhari blood was full of plague organisms, attacking their cells. Today, after treatment with modified human antibiotics, the plague organisms are almost gone." "Are you saying we can cure them completely?" Dong-woo asked, hardly believing what he was hearing. "Not just cure them," So-young said excitedly. "I think we can make them immune to getting sick again. The human medicines don't just fight the plague, they teach the Velkhari immune system how to fight it too." This was the best news possible, but Dong-woo felt worry growing in his stomach. If they could cure the Velkhari plague, then the 10-year quarantine had been unnecessary. How many aliens had died alone in space when they could have been saved? Meanwhile, on the bridge communications officer, Ji-hai was receiving messages that made her hand shake. "Captain, you need to hear this," she called over the ship's communication system. Dong-woo rushed to the bridge. "What is it?" "Multiple species are sending warnings about us," Ji-hai reported. "The Zephyrian Trade Union says any ship that contacts us will be banned from their stations. The Corvan Empire is threatening to destroy us if we enter their space. Even the Ethereal Collective is calling us dangerous. How do they know what we are doing?" Dong-woo asked. "Someone has been monitoring our communications," Ji-hai replied. "Word is spreading fast across the galaxy that humans have made contact with plague victims. Most species are calling us insane." "Navigator," Yu-jin looked up from his station. "Captain, I am tracking several military ships heading toward our sector. The Galactic Council has declared us a contamination risk." Dong-woo felt anger building in his chest. "We are trying to save lives, and they want to destroy us for it." On the Velkhari ship, Captain Thelvas was watching his people get stronger every hour. The gray color was leaving their scales, and they were able to eat and move normally again. The youngest Velkhari, including his daughter Keth-Ara, were playing games. They had been too sick to play for years, the human doctors. "Medicine is like magic," Thelvas told his crew. "We are becoming healthy again after so many cycles of sickness," but their happiness was mixed with worry. They had been listening to the same galactic communications as the humans. They knew that helping. The Velkhari had made Sol's Pride enemies of most civilized species. Dr. Kim continued working day and night to produce enough medicine for all the Velkhari. She had help from some of the healthier aliens who were eager to assist their saviors. The Velkhari had excellent memories and learned human medical procedures quickly. Engineer Min-ho worked with Velkhari mechanics to improve both ships. They combined human technology with Velkhari engineering knowledge, creating improvements neither species could have made alone. The aliens taught humans about energy efficiency, while humans showed aliens about better life support systems. One of the adult Velkhari, named Sekthar, had been a scientist before the plague. He worked closely with Dr. Kim to understand how human medicine affected Velkhari biology. "Your species is remarkable," Sekthar told. "So young humans evolved on a world with so many different diseases that your bodies learned to fight almost anything. We Velkhari lived on a peaceful world with few germs. So when the plague came, we had no defenses. That's why human medicine works on you." So Young realized your immune systems just needed to learn how to fight like human immune systems do. As the days passed, the cultural exchange between humans and Velkari grew stronger. The aliens taught the humans about their history and customs. The Velkari had once been a proud civilization with beautiful cities and advanced technology, but the plague had destroyed everything, forcing the survivors to flee their homeworld. The human crew learned that Velkari society was built around family groups and that they valued honor and loyalty above all else. This made them respect the humans even more for risking everything to help strangers. Young, Keth Ara spent hours watching the humans work. She was fascinated by their tools and procedures. Dr. Kim began teaching her basic medical concepts, and the alien child learned with amazing speed. She has the mind of a natural healer. So Young told her, Father Thelvas. If she studies hard, she could become a great doctor someday. Thelvas felt pride and sadness at the same time. His daughter would grow up healthy thanks to the humans, but she would also grow up as an exile from her homeworld, unless something changed. Communication Officer HFY continued to monitor galactic communications. The news was getting worse every day. More species were joining the hunt for Sol's Pride military ships. From 6 different governments were converging. On their area of space, Captain, we have maybe 2 days before they find us. HFY reported. The search pattern is closing in, and we cannot run while the Velkari ship is still too damaged to travel fast. How many Velkari still need treatment? Dongwu asked Dr. Kim. About half so. Young replied. The ones we treated first are completely healthy now, but the sickest ones need more time. The children are responding faster than the adults. Can the healthy ones survive without us? Dongwu asked. Hating himself for even thinking about abandoning anyone, Thelvas answered over the communication system. Captain Dongwu, my healthy people can take care of the others now that we have the medicine, but we will not abandon you. We owe you our lives. You don't owe us anything, Dongwu replied. We did what anyone should have done. That is where you are wrong, Thelvas said firmly. Most species would have let us die alone. You chose to help when no one else would. The Velkari do not forget such courage, Dr. Kim made. Her final breakthrough on the 7th day, she had created not just a cure but also a vaccine that would prevent Velkari from ever getting the plague again. More importantly, her research showed that similar techniques could work on other alien diseases. Captain, this changes everything. So, Young announced. This proves that species can help each other medically. We could cure diseases across the galaxy if people would just try instead of being afraid. But first they had to survive the hunt. That was closing in on them. The most powerful military forces in the galaxy were coming to destroy them for the crime of showing compassion. As Sol's Pride prepared to run for their lives, the crew knew they had accomplished something amazing. They had not just saved the Velkari, they had proven that cooperation between species was possible. The galaxy would never be the same. Captain Lee Dongwu stared at the star charts on his navigation screen. The nebula was only minutes away, but the military ships were gaining fast. The Velkari vessel was struggling to keep up, and black smoke continued to pour from their damaged engines. Captain, we could still make it to the nebula if we abandoned the Velkari ship. Navigator, Yujin said quietly. His young face was pale with fear, but his hands were steady on the controls. Dongwu looked at his crew. Each of them was scared, but none of them suggested running away. They had all chosen to stay with their alien friends, even if it meant dying together. No one gets left behind, he said firmly. We face this together. Communications Officer. HFY looked up from her station. Captain, I am receiving a message from Earth Command. They are ordering us to surrender to the military task force immediately. What does the message say exactly? Dongwu asked. HFY read from her screen. Captain Lee. Dongwu, you are ordered to cease all contact with quarantined alien vessels and surrender to Galactic Council forces. Your actions have endangered human relations with other species. Return to Earth immediately for court-martial. So even Earth wants us to abandon the Velkari engineer, Minho said with disgust. Our own people are afraid of doing the right thing. Dongwu made a decision that would change everything. He turned to Ji-Hai. Open all communication channels. I want every ship, every station, every planet in this sector too. Hear what I have to say. Captain, that will give away our exact position. The young woman protested. I know, he replied. But it's time for the galaxy to hear the truth. Ji-Hai opened all frequencies and nodded to her captain. Dongwu took a deep breath and began speaking. This is Captain Lee Dongwu of the human vessel Soul's Pride. I am speaking to all beings who can hear this message. The Galactic Council has declared us criminals for one crime, helping the sick and dying. He paused and looked at the image of the Velkari ship on his screen. 7 days ago, we answered a distress call from a Velkari vessel. These aliens had been quarantined for 10 years, left to die alone in space because everyone was afraid of their plague. But our doctor, Kim So-young, discovered something amazing. The plague can be cured with modified human medicine. The communication channels filled with chatter as beings across the sector heard this news. We have cured all 37 Velkari on that ship, including children who had never known what it felt like to be healthy. More importantly, we have created a vaccine that will prevent this plague from ever spreading again. The 10-year quarantine was unnecessary. Fear and prejudice kept other species from. Even trying to help Dongwu's voice grew stronger as he continued speaking. Right now, 5 military ships are hunting us with orders to destroy both vessels. They say we are contaminated and dangerous, but the only thing we are contaminated with is compassion. The only thing dangerous about us is that we refuse to let people die when we can save them. Durkim stepped onto the bridge and took the communication device, Captain Thelvas. This message is for you and your people. You are no longer plague carriers. You are healthy beings with the right to live and travel freely. I am transmitting all our medical data to every communication network in the galaxy. No one will ever be able to claim ignorance again. The military ships were now close, enough to open fire. The lead Corvin vessel charged its weapons and aimed at Soul's Pride. But instead of running, Dongwu did something unexpected. He ordered his ship to stop. All stop, he commanded. We make our stand here. Captain, are you insane, Yujin? Shouted. We are sitting targets now. Maybe, Dongwu replied. But I am tired of running. I am tired of being called a criminal for saving lives. If they want to destroy us, they will have to do it while the whole galaxy watches. The Velkari ship pulled. Alongside Soul's Pride, Captain Thelvas appeared on the communication screen. His scales now bright green and healthy. Human friend, you have given my people everything. We will not let you face this alone. The alien ship moved between Soul's Pride and the military vessels. Thelvas opened his own communication to all frequencies. I am Thelvas, captain of the Keth Maran. For 10 cycles, my people have been alone waiting to die. The humans found us broken and sick, and instead of running away, they helped us. They asked for nothing in return. They risked everything to save strangers. His voice carried across space, reaching thousands of ships and stations. These humans are not criminals. They are heroes. They have shown the galaxy what real courage. Looks like if you destroy them, you destroy the best hope for peace between species. More chatter filled the communication networks. Beings across the sector were listening to the standoff. Some were calling the humans brave. Others were calling them foolish. But everyone was listening. The Corvin commander's face appeared on screen again. Human captain, you will surrender now or face destruction. This is your final warning. Dongwu stood straight and faced the alien military officer. We will not surrender. We have committed no crime except caring about others. If that makes us your enemy, then so be it. The Corvin weapons powered up to full charge. The other military ships did the same. 5 powerful warships prepared to destroy 2 small vessels, whose only crime was showing mercy. But then something unexpected happened. Another ship appeared on the sensors, then another. Soon dozens of vessels were dropping out of faster-than-light travel around the standoff. HFY stared at her instruments, in amazement. "Captain, we have 17 civilian ships taking positions around us. They are forming a protective barrier." "Who are they?" Dong-Wu asked. "Mixed species," she replied. "Traders, explorers, colonists. They heard our broadcast and came to help." The communication channels exploded with messages of support. A Andorian merchant captain declared that the humans were right to help the sick. A group of Tellarite miners said they would defend Sol's pride with their lives. Even some young Vulcans announced that logic demanded protecting those who help others. The military commander looked confused and angry. "This is illegal. Civilian vessels cannot interfere with military operations." One of the civilian ship captains responded, "Military operations against medical rescue missions are illegal. We have the right to protect innocent beings." The standoff continued for hours, with more civilian ships arriving to support the humans and Velkhari. The galaxy was choosing sides, and many were choosing to stand with those who showed compassion over those who showed fear. Captain Dong-Wu realized that their desperate stand had become something much bigger. They had started a revolution in thinking about how species should treat each other. The galaxy would never be the same again. The standoff in space continued for 3 days, with more ships arriving every hour. Captain Lee Dong-Wu watched from the bridge of Sol's Pride as the protective circle of civilian vessels grew larger and larger. Over 200 ships from dozens of species now surrounded the humans, and Velkhari ready to defend them against the military task force. Communications officer HFY could barely keep up with all the messages flooding their systems. "Captain, we are receiving support from beings." Across the galaxy, young people from every major species are protesting their government's quarantine policies. "What kind of protests?" Navigator Eugene asked. "The biggest protests in galactic history," HFY replied. "Universities are shutting down students, are demanding that their leaders help sick aliens instead of abandoning them. Some planets are threatening to leave the Galactic Council if they destroy us." Dr. Kim So Young had been working non-stop to share her medical research with scientists across the galaxy. Now she had help from doctors of many species who were studying her data and making their own discoveries. "Captain, I have amazing news." So Young announced doctors from 12 different species have confirmed our findings. They are reporting that many quarantine diseases can be treated with interspecies medical cooperation. We could save millions of lives on the Velkhari ship. Captain Thelvas was coordinating with the civilian vessels that had come to help. His people were no longer the forgotten plague victims they had been for 10 years. Now they were heroes who had helped expose the truth about quarantine policies. The military ships continued to threaten destruction, but they had not fired a single shot. The Corvin commander was receiving new orders every few hours as the political situation changed across the galaxy. Commander Sektar, the military task force leader, appeared on communication screens looking tired and frustrated. "This situation has gone beyond military control. Political leaders from multiple species are demanding negotiations." "What kind of negotiations?" Dong-Wu asked. "The formation of a new medical alliance," Sektar replied. "Species that want to work together to cure diseases instead of hiding from them. Your actions have inspired something we cannot stop with weapons." Young Kithara, the Velkhari child who had learned medicine from Dr. Kim, made her own communication broadcast to the galaxy. She spoke in simple words that touched hearts. Across space, "My name is Kithara. I am a Velkhari youngling. Before the humans found us, I was dying from the sickness that killed my homeworld. Now I am healthy and learning to be a doctor, like the brave human Dr. Kim." The humans did not help us because we were the same species. They helped us because helping others is right. Her message was translated into hundreds of languages and spread across communication networks. The sight of a healthy alien child speaking about human kindness moved beings who had never cared about other species before. Engineer Choi Min-ho had been working with Valkyrie and civilian ship crews to design new vessels that could carry mixed species crews. Their designs were being copied by shipbuilders across the galaxy, who realized that cooperation made better technology than isolation. Captain, we are receiving a priority message from Earth. Ji-Hai announced. It is from the human president herself. Put her through, Dong-Wu ordered. Wondering if his own government would support or condemn him, President Sarah Chen appeared on screen. Her face was serious, but her eyes were proud. Captain Dong-Wu, your actions have changed galactic politics forever. The human government officially supports your medical mission and requests that you return to Earth as heroes, not criminals. Thank you. Madam President, Dong-Wu replied. But our work is not finished yet. The president smiled. I know, Captain. That is why Earth is proposing the formation of the Interspecies Medical Council with you and Dr. Kim as founding members. We want to make helping sick aliens official policy, not criminal activity. Over the following weeks, the political transformation continued. The Galactic Council was forced to hold emergency sessions, as member species demanded changes to quarantine laws. The ethereal collective withdrew from the council in protest of the military action against medical rescuers. The Andorian Federation announced they would no longer follow species-based isolation policies. Dr. Kim established the first interspecies medical exchange aboard Soul's Pride doctors. From many species came to learn her techniques while sharing their own knowledge. The ship became a floating laboratory and hospital that traveled to help beings who had been abandoned by their governments. The Valkyrie were granted full citizenship rights in the reformed Galactic Council. Their years of exile were officially declared a tragic mistake. Captain Thelvas became the first Valkyrie, ambassador to other species in over a decade. Young Cathara continued studying medicine with Dr. Kim and became a symbol of hope for interspecies cooperation. Her bright green scales and cheerful personality made her a favorite guest on communication networks across the galaxy. The military task force that had hunted Soul's Pride was disbanded. Commander Sektar himself requested reassignment to medical support duties, saying that he had learned the difference between real threats and imaginary. Fierce 6 months after the standoff, Captain Dong-Wu stood on the bridge of his ship as they approached Earth. The Soul's Pride had been transformed from a simple cargo vessel into the flagship of a new era in galactic relations. Behind them flew a convoy of ships from dozens of species, all working together. Dr. Kim looked out at the stars through the bridge windows. Captain, do you think we really changed anything, or will things go back to the way they were? Dong-Wu smiled and pointed to a group of mixed-species children playing together in the ship's recreation area. Those younglings will grow up thinking that helping aliens is normal. They will never understand why their parents were afraid of beings who needed help. That is how we know real change has happened. Communications Officer Ji-Hai announced, Captain, we are receiving messages from 17 different distress calls across this sector. Beings who need medical help are calling for the Interspecies Medical Council Navigator. Yujin set course for the nearest emergency captain. Where should we go first? All of them. Dong-Wu replied. We will help them all. That is what humans do as. Soul's Pride jumped to, faster than light speed, heading toward their next rescue mission. The crew knew that their greatest adventure was just beginning. They had proven that compassion was not weakness, but strength, and that helping others made the galaxy a better place for everyone. The story of the humans who dared to help when no one else would became legend across the galaxy. But for Captain Lee Dong-Wu and his crew, it was just the beginning. They had work to do and people to save. The universe was vast and full of beings who needed help, and the humans were just getting started.